The year is 2000. A routine domestic flight is about to take off. Philippine Airlines Flight 812 from Davao City to Manila. Little do they know, this ordinary day will soon spiral into an extraordinary event. A tale of desperation and audacity unfolds. The sun dips below the horizon as Flight 812 prepares for departure. As the plane ascends, the stage is set for a dramatic turn of events. The normalcy of the flight is about to be shattered. An insidious plan is about to unfold. An ordinary flight transforms into a battleground between desperation and survival. The hijacking of Philippine Airlines Flight 812 was not an isolated incident. It occurred against the backdrop of a global phenomenon, the rise of air piracy. The late 20th century witnessed a surge in such incidents, fueled by political unrest and ideological extremism. Hijackings became a terrifyingly real threat to civil aviation, shaking the world's faith in air travel. From the infamous hijackings by Palestinian groups to September 11th, air piracy cast a long shadow. Motivations varied widely, from political demands to seeking asylum. Regardless of motive, the impact was always the same: terror in the skies and innocent lives held hostage. The hijacking of Flight 812 highlighted the potential for chaos and violence on routine flights. It underscored the need for enhanced security measures at all airports. The incident forced authorities to re-evaluate security protocols, leading to stricter screenings and increased vigilance. The world watched with bated breath, their anxiety fueled by the memory of past hijackings. The incident served as a wake-up call, highlighting the perils of air travel in a world grappling with instability. To fully grasp the context of the Flight 812 hijacking, it's crucial to understand the socio-political climate of the Philippines in 2000. The nation, still reeling from the aftermath of the 1997 Asian financial crisis, was grappling with economic disparities, political instability, and social unrest. These factors created a fertile ground for desperation and discontent, pushing some individuals to the brink. The Philippines, a nation known for its resilience and vibrant culture, was also grappling with internal conflicts, including a long-standing communist insurgency and separatist movements in the south. These conflicts, coupled with the lingering effects of the financial crisis, contributed to a sense of uncertainty and disillusionment among certain segments of society. Reginald Chua, the man at the heart of the Flight 812 hijacking, was a product of this turbulent environment. Driven to desperation by financial struggles and personal setbacks, he embodies the plight of countless Filipinos who felt left behind by the country's economic progress. His actions, while extreme, reflected the desperation and despair that simmered beneath the surface of Philippine society. The hijacking of Flight 812, therefore, transcended the realm of a mere criminal act. It became a tragic symbol of the challenges faced by the Philippines at the turn of the millennium. The incident exposed the vulnerabilities of a nation struggling to balance economic growth with social equity and the desperation that could arise when individuals felt pushed to the edge. Nestled amidst rolling hills and a sparkling coastline, Davao City exuded an air of optimism and progress. Known as the fruit basket of the Philippines, Davao was a hub of agriculture, trade, and tourism. Davao International Airport hummed with activity, a testament to the city's growing prominence. Philippine Airlines Flight 812 stood poised on the runway, ready to ferry its passengers across the Celebes Sea. The Airbus A330 gleamed under the tropical sun, reflecting the aspirations of those about to embark on their journeys. The air crackled with anticipation, a mixture of excitement and apprehension etched on the faces of those bidding farewell. Faces in the crowd, glimpses of lives intertwined. Among the passengers were individuals from all walks of life, each carrying their own stories. Ailing Rosa, a grandmother, clutching a basket of mangoes and pomelos. Miguel, a young engineer on his way to a crucial job interview. Teenagers documenting their every move, contrasting a lone businessman. A young mother, gently rocking her child, humming a lullaby. Reginald Chua, hiding in plain sight, his turmoil masked. As the plane taxied, mundane announcements faded into background noise. Section 3. Anticipation and Anxiety. The Duality of Air Travel. Air travel bridges vast distances, blending anticipation and anxiety. The thrill of soaring above the clouds is tempered by the vulnerability of flight. On Flight 812, passengers felt excitement and unspoken fear. Anxiety showed as restless fidgeting and frequent watch-checking. Others found comfort in conversation, masking underlying tension. Cabin crew offered reassurance with smiles and calming words. The engine hum reminded them of their technological marvel and vulnerability. As the plane leveled off, the seatbelt sign signaled a return to normalcy. Passengers settled, their minds wandering to their destinations. Little did they know, this fragile equilibrium was about to be shattered. A desperate act transformed their journey into a fight for survival. Section 1. A Shadow Among Passengers. The Enigma of Reginald Chua. As the passengers of Philippine Airlines Flight 812 settled into their routines, a quiet tension simmered beneath the surface. Among them sat Reginald Chua, a man teetering on the precipice of desperation. His unassuming appearance belied the turmoil brewing within. Chua, a man of contradictions, was an enigma to those who knew him. A series of setbacks had chipped away at Chua's dreams, leaving him feeling defeated. The once bright spark of ambition had dwindled to a flicker, replaced by despair. He had reached a breaking point, yearning for escape, for a chance to rewrite his story. Section 2. Desperation's grip unveiling Chua's motives. The precise motivations behind Reginald Chua's actions remain shrouded in a veil of speculation and conjecture. Some whispered of financial ruin, of crippling debts that had driven him to the brink of despair. Others spoke of a failed romance, a love lost that had shattered his spirit, leaving him with nothing left to lose. The truth perhaps lay buried deep within the labyrinth of Chua's troubled mind, a complex tapestry of personal demons and external pressures that had culminated in this desperate act. What is certain is that Chua's actions were born out of desperation, a last-ditch gamble to break free from the shackles of his circumstances. He had convinced himself that this audacious plan, this high-stakes hijacking, was his only way out, a chance to seize control of his destiny and rewrite the narrative of his life. The irony, of course, was that in his desperate pursuit of freedom, Chua had inadvertently imprisoned himself further, his actions trapping him in a web of consequences far greater than he could have ever imagined. His dream of a fresh start had morphed into a nightmare, a terrifying descent into the abyss of criminality, forever tainting his legacy and casting a long shadow over the lives he touched. As the plane continued its journey, oblivious to the turmoil brewing within its confines, Chua's resolve hardened. He had crossed the Rubicon, there was no turning back. His fate and the fate of those on board Flight 812 now hung precariously in the balance, suspended between hope and despair, between the allure of freedom and the unforgiving grip of desperation. Section 3. A Backpack of Contradictions. The Homemade Parachute. Chua's backpack, a symbol of travel and adventure, held a secret. Within its depths lay a homemade parachute, cobbled together from scavenged materials. The parachute, far from professional, symbolized Chua's desperation and belief in his own escape. It was a patchwork of contradictions, hope and recklessness, ingenuity and naivete. Crafted from scavenged fabrics, it was a fragile symbol of his desire for a second chance. It represented his belief that he could defy the odds and outsmart the system. Ironically, Chua's parachute, embodying his hopes, would become a symbol of his downfall. Even the most meticulously crafted plans could unravel, leaving behind unforeseen consequences. Section 1. A sudden shift. The calm shattered. The hum of the aircraft engines was abruptly shattered. The familiar rhythm of air travel dissolved into silence as Reginald Chua surged from his seat. His movements, though sudden, were calculated, betraying a practiced air of control. The backpack, once innocuous, now took on a sinister air. A collective gasp rippled through the cabin as Chua brandished a homemade pistol. The glint of metal seemed to suck the air from the room, replacing it with fear. The transition was jarring, a descent from the mundane to the surreal. Passengers, moments ago lost in thought, were now united by dread. Section 2. Demands and Terror, Moments of Truth in the Cabin. "This is a hijacking!" Chua's voice boomed through the cabin. His words carried a chilling weight, their impact immediate. Fear swept through the aircraft, seizing control of minds and bodies. Gasps of disbelief gave way to sobs, prayers, and panicked whispers. The air grew thick with the stench of perspiration and adrenaline. Chua, his eyes darting nervously, issued a string of demands. He demanded money, jewelry, anything of value. His words carried an undeniable threat, underscored by his weapon. Flight attendants, pale but composed, moved with practiced efficiency. They instructed passengers to comply, maintaining order amidst chaos. Section 3. Whispers of fear. Passengers grasp for hope. In the face of terror, the human spirit sought solace in hope. Passengers, stripped of safety, clung to threads of optimism. A shared sense of vulnerability united them. Strangers exchanged fearful glances, understanding their shared predicament. Mothers clutched their children, whispering comfort. Some passengers succumbed to their circumstances, others clung to hope. Whispers of hope circulated, offering a glimmer of light. A shared prayer rose from their collective fear. It was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Section 4. The Pilot's Dilemma. Navigating an impossible situation. In the cockpit, Captain Samonte and First Officer Romero faced an impossible situation. The hijacking transformed their routine flight into a high-stakes negotiation. Their training had prepared them for many things, but not this. The weight of responsibility pressed down on them. Communicating with air traffic control, they relayed the hijackers' demands. They knew time was of the essence. Their primary objective was to maintain control and buy time. Their ability to remain calm was key to navigating the crisis. The escape plan: audacity or delusion. As the flight continued, Chua envisioned an audacious escape. His objective was to vanish into thin air. Chua relayed his demands to the pilots. He instructed them to descend to 6,000 feet. His words revealed a rudimentary understanding of aviation. The pilots maintained their composure, buying time. Complying with such demands was uncharted territory. Inside the cabin, whispers of Chua's plan spread panic. Passengers grappled with the terrifying reality of their fate. Descent into uncertainty. Terror at 6,000 feet. The descent was agonizing, magnifying the tension. The landscape below reminded them of life's fragility. The change in altitude brought nausea and discomfort. The air grew thin, the engine's hum more urgent. Every jolt and creak amplified the sense of dread. Time seemed to warp, stretching each second. Passengers were suspended in a terrifying limbo. Flight attendants moved through the cabin offering comfort. They distributed water, each sip a reprieve from fear. Their presence was a reassuring constant in uncertainty. The leap of faith, a desperate gamble in the sky. At 6,000 feet, tension gripped the flight. The moment of truth had arrived. Chua, parachute strapped to his back, ordered the exit opened. The rush of wind reminded them of their situation. Passengers watched as Chua prepared to escape. A collective gasp followed as Chua leaped into the void. His departure was met with relief and disbelief. The silence was deafening, broken only by the engines. They were united by disbelief, awaiting the outcome. Their fate now rested in the hands of fate itself. Section 4. A Parachute's Betrayal, the Tragic Fall of Reginald Chua. From the aircraft, passengers watched Chua plummet. The homemade parachute billowed behind him. For a moment, there was hope. But physics soon asserted dominance. The parachute failed to fully deploy. Chua entered a terrifying spiral. The sight was seared into their memories. Hope evaporated, replaced by chilling realization. Chua's descent became a tragic spectacle. His body was later discovered in Quezon province. His death served as a reminder of desperation's high cost. Section 1. The Aftermath. Relief, Reflection, and Reckoning. Relief washed over the flight as Chua's act faded. Passengers and crew could finally breathe. The aircraft resumed its course. The journey to Manila was somber and introspective. Passengers shared whispers of disbelief and gratitude. The landing was met with applause and tears. Reunions were emotional, a release of fear. The hijacking would be etched into aviation history. The incident prompted investigations and security reviews. It was a reminder of air travel's vulnerability and human behavior's unpredictability. Section 2. Unveiling the why, delving into Chua's psyche. In the wake of the hijacking, the question that lingered on everyone's mind was a simple yet profoundly complex one: why? What drove Reginald Chua, a man who had once harbored dreams of a brighter future, to hijack an aircraft, terrorize hundreds of innocent people, and ultimately plunge to his own demise? The investigation into Chua's background painted a picture of a man grappling with immense personal and financial struggles. He was burdened by debts, haunted by failed business ventures, and seemingly trapped in a downward spiral of despair. Those who knew him described him as a man once full of promise, his intelligence and ambition evident to all. But somewhere along the way, life had dealt him a series of cruel blows, pushing him to the edge of a precipice from which he saw no escape. Some speculated that Chua's actions were driven by a desire for notoriety, a desperate attempt to make a mark on the world that had seemingly forgotten him. Others believed that he had orchestrated the entire hijacking as an elaborate suicide mission, his grand escape plan a carefully calculated act of self-destruction. The truth, as is often the case, likely lay somewhere in the complex intersection of circumstance, desperation, and mental state. Chua's actions, while inexcusable, were a tragic testament to the devastating impact of untreated mental health issues, the crushing weight of societal pressures, and the desperation that can consume an individual when all hope seems lost. Section 3. Lessons from the Skies: Security, Resilience, and the Human Spirit. The hijacking of Philippine Airlines Flight 812 yielded valuable lessons beyond aviation security. It underscored the importance of vigilance and constant reassessment of security protocols. Security measures were significantly enhanced worldwide, passenger screening procedures intensified, baggage checks became more rigorous, and cockpit doors were reinforced. The incident highlighted the need for greater access to mental health care, support systems for personal and financial crises, and a commitment to a more just world. The resilience of the human spirit in adversity was the most enduring lesson. Their courage and compassion serve as a beacon of hope,